Coming up, we're showcasing a song that boasts the most recognizable date ever used in a lyric. And for decades, people have wondered why this band chose this particular day. Do you know the meaning of the most famous date on the musical calendar? The truth may not be what you think it is. Written by one of the 70s biggest musical acts who are known for the pure positivity that they infuse into all of their music. Anytime you drop the needle on one of their records, it's a guaranteed good time, just joyous. This song is the epitome of all of that. Written by the band's leader and a songwriter he called up out of the blue. It's actually on food stamps at the time, this songwriter. She was struggling. He gave her a shot at the title, and together they authored one of the most joyful jams of the entire era. Get ready, we've got the story coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you've ever thrown down on a game of Hungry Hippos or Chutes and Ladders, or bombed somebody on Battleship, this channel, it's made for you. It's pure nostalgia. Make sure that you subscribe below right now. Click on the big red button, and then click on the bell so that you know when the latest videos are coming down the pipeline. We also have a Patreon. You're going to want to check that out. There you'll find more content. That helps us keep this a daily channel. It helps us do more interviews. So it's time for another edition of Number One in Our Hearts. This is a show that honors songs that were so unbelievably great, they absolutely should have been number one on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. But for whatever reason, radio play, lack of marketing, label support, or just sheer stupidity, the song came up a bit short. This one should have been number one for 10 weeks. It's one of the most joyful get up and dance ditties ever recorded. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Earth, Wind & Fire's 1978 smash hit, September. Seriously, how this wasn't a number one hit right out of the gate, it's beyond me. It's so good. I really can't say enough about Earth, Wind & Fire. One of my favorite groups ever. They're just so electric. So today, I want to celebrate this sensational group, their incomparable leader, Maurice White, and their signature song, September, which is a guaranteed hair standing on end, smile enhancing extravaganza if there ever was one. Now, Maurice White was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and he began his musical career as part of a jazz trio called the Mad Lads. This is a band he co-formed with his childhood buddy, the illustrious Booker T. Jones. Reflecting back on those early days, Booker T. remembered Maurice as a shy kid who spoke in a whisper. But that shyness would be short-lived, as Maurice would later break out of his shell to showcase an energetic personality that would captivate the world. Now, after the White family moved from Memphis to Chicago, Maurice played drums for a few local bands, including the Pharaohs and the Jazz Band, before getting hired as a session drummer for Chess Records. There he would play with a couple of all-time greats, Etta James, Chuck Berry, and Junior Wells. In 1966, Maurice joined the Ramsey Lewis Trio as their drummer. But he had a burning desire to create his own act, and that aspiration compelled him to leave the trio in 1968. Maurice then teamed up with three of his friends to form the Salty Peppers. Together, they had some regional success in the Midwest. However, the Salty Peppers soon dissolved, and Maurice asked his brother Verdine to join him for a new venture in L.A. In California, Maurice assembled a new group, one that more fully captured his vision and incorporated myriad of musical genres: jazz, funk, soul, dance, Latin, African, and pop. That band, formed in 1969, was called Earth, Wind & Fire. Maurice subscribed to the cosmic power of astrology, and this belief played a key role in the naming of the band and the philosophy of their music. Maurice's astrological sign was Sagittarius, whose primary element was fire, but also included the seasonal qualities of earth and air. In the late 60s, Maurice sought the counsel of a top astrologer named Mr. Black. After Maurice shared some details about his life, Mr. Black spent about an hour doing some research about his chart. When finished, Mr. Black said, "Whoa, son, you have no water in your chart, only fire, air, and earth signs. That's a very odd occurrence. I've only seen a few of those." Now, Maurice asked what that meant, and Mr. Black told him it usually means a pronounced lack of emotion. But son, this chart is to show you your natural tendencies. What you do with the information will determine your life. This unexpected assessment, it hit home with Maurice. He felt that he had been compensating for a lack of emotion in his life by having an emotional relationship with his music instead. With these thoughts in mind, Maurice named the new group after the elements in his astrological chart. He substituted wind for air, thinking earth, wind, and fire sounded more dynamic than earth, air, and fire. Musicians came and went in the first few years of the band, but by 1972, the foundation of the EWF lineup was stabilizing, with Maurice White on lead vocals, percussion, and kalimba, Verdine White on bass, Larry Dunn on keys, guitarists Al McKay and Johnny Graham, saxman Andrew Woolfolk, Ralph Johnson on drums, and a promising young singer by the name of Philip Bailey. The makeup of the band, it was further bolstered in 1974 when Maurice and Verdine's younger brother, Fred White, came on board as an extra drummer. And with the addition of the EWF horn section, later called the Phoenix Horns, this increased EWF from 9 players to 13. 2 1974 releases, Head to the Sky and Open Our Eyes, established Earth, Wind & Fire as an albums act. While the following year, Shining Star hit #1 on the Hot 100 and the U.S. R&B charts. Of course, more hits followed throughout the 70s, including R&B charts #1, Sing a Song, and Getaway. Their eclectic mixture of soul and jazz continued to expand, and their songs grew ever more memorable. Everything about Earth, Wind & Fire was meticulously scripted by Maurice. He wanted the music of EWF to inspire people and lift them up to a higher plane. There's definitely a deep spirituality to their songs. Part of the reason for that is the use of symbolism from religions and philosophies all around the world. Maurice and his band, they were persistent in their examination of global cultures and beliefs, always learning as much as they could about all kinds of different people and sharing the best of their findings throughout their music. Now, their 1978 hit, September, would epitomize the unity and open-mindedness that they sought to foster. This is one of the most joyful jams of the rock era for sure. No matter who you are, this song is guaranteed to put you in a great mood stat. It's feel-good power. It's irresistible. And because of that, it's a song that it just brings people together. Now, as we further break down this amazing song, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the glasses that I always wear. With inflation rocketing out of control right now, you can get hundreds of pairs of glasses starting at just $6.95, under $7. You design your own pair, your own features, and you can try them on virtually to see how you look before you buy them. With spring here and we're going into summer, it's a great time to get some sunglasses as well. There's so much variety here. Just click on the info button right up here. It'll come out and you'll get a special Professor of Rock deal. So September was included as an original track on the band's first Greatest Hits compilation, the Best of Earth, Wind & Fire Volume 1. That record rose to #6 on the Billboard 200 and was certified platinum ×5 in the United States alone. September was written specifically to be the album's new single. And actually, according to Maurice, it was the 3rd song in a musical trilogy that he and Al McKay had written. First 2 songs were the aforementioned Sing a Song and The Best of My Love, which was written and performed by the Emotions in 1977, big hit there. Maurice would write the lyrics to September with renowned songwriter Alle Willis. She would later write for the Pointer Sisters, and Pet Shop Boys, and the Rembrandts, amongst others.
What have I done to deserve this?
She also co-penned the Earth, Wind & Fire top 10 hit Boogie Wonderland. However, at this point, Alle was still a struggling songwriter. She was actually living off food stamps. Now, fortunately, a friend of hers was friends with Maurice White. That friend put her in touch with the band. Now, as Alle tells the story, one day Maurice just called her up, and the conversation went something like this. Alle answered, "Hello? Hey, this is Maurice White, and I want to know if you want to write the entire next Earth, Wind & Fire album with me." Yeah, Maurice cut right to the chase. Of course, Alle said yes. She called that conversation the most surreal moment of her life. How could it not be? I mean, you think about it. There she was seconds before that, figuring out how she was going to make ends meet, with food stamps. I mean, living off of that, just barely surviving. Now she was collaborating with Earth, Wind & Fire. September, that was the first song that Willis wrote with the band. She described the process as fantastic, very thrilling. On her first day in the studio, in fact, Alle opened the door to hear EWF playing the guitar intro for September. She thought to herself, please let this be what they want to work with me on. She knew it was going to be a hit from the very start. Now, by the time she left the studio that first day, Maurice had already taken a liking to her, so he gave her some homework. He actually gave her a list of philosophical books to pick up at a local bookstore. And from the look on her face, Maurice could tell that she thought she was in over her head. But he knew that she wasn't. Maurice underlined one book in particular, The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. In this book, Mandino shares his belief that victory comes only after many struggles and countless defeats. Several passages in this particular book, they really hit home for Maurice, and he wanted Alle to know exactly where he was coming from. Now, Alle said that what started as a very simple experience for her turned into an incredibly complex and profound experience, in fact. She dove right into all of these books, and she thought at first that she really didn't understand much of what she was reading. Maurice said, "You know what, just stick with it." He thought she was a very spiritual person and that she had an important message to share. So Alle pored over these texts, trying to figure them out for months. As a result, the lyrical ideas started piling up. It turned into something like 25 or 30 pages of notes. This period of reading about religion and philosophy, it permanently changed her life in a great way. And she credits Maurice for making that happen. Now, ironically, September didn't have all that much to do with philosophy. It's a very simple lyric, but incredibly joyful. Maurice said it took him about a month to calm Alle down about the song. In particular, she detested the ba-de-ya hook. What she said is, "I absolutely could not deal with lyrics that were nonsensical, or lines that weren't complete sentences." She wanted it to be a real word and felt like its inclusion was a slight against her lyric writing abilities. She actually rode Maurice about it for 3 long weeks, finally protesting, "You can't leave the ba-de-ya in there. It just makes no sense." But for Maurice, the lyric, it was non-negotiable. For him, it was an essential part of the song. Finally, one day, he put his arm around Alle and he just said, "You gotta trust me on this one. I can't let a bulky lyric get in the way of a melodic groove. Ba-de-ya, it felt good, and nonsensical or not, it captured the exact vibe that Maurice wanted in the song. The beauty of ba-de-ya is it can mean whatever you want it to mean. It's just a joyful declaration that simply works in the song." Alle, for her part, she would come around eventually. She took Maurice's advice to heart, literally. Later, she called it the greatest lesson she ever learned about songwriting. Never let a lyric get in the way of a groove. Now, another curious part of this song is the mention of the 21st night of September in the song's opening verse. For decades, theories have come around as to the meaning of that date. However, when asked about its significance, Maurice insisted that it didn't have any. It's just a day on the calendar. 21st of September, it just sounded good when he sang it. Alle concurred. She said, We went through all the dates. Do you remember the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the one that felt best was the 21st? I constantly have people coming up to me and they get so excited to know what the significance of the date was. There is no significance beyond it just sang better than any of the other dates. So sorry. End of quote. However, after Maurice's death in 2016, his wife shared what she thought it meant. She revealed that the 21st of September was actually the original due date of their son, who ended up being born earlier in August. It's a nice thought, and maybe it's true. But for the rest of us, I think the 21st of September can mean whatever we want it to mean. Just like Badia. But that's the beauty of this song. It's been passed on to the world, and now each of us can fill in the blanks with our own experiences. Whether that incredible night in our own lives actually happened on the 21st of September or not. This song helps us to remember what it felt like, what it feels like to fall in love, to chase the clouds away. September actually entered the Billboard Hot 100 chart in November of 1978, and it peaked at number 8 on February 10th, 1979. So unfortunately, it didn't happen in September. Would have been pretty cool if it did. It also climbed to number 6 on the Cashbox chart, and it went to number 1 on the Billboard R&B chart. Internationally, it reached number 13 in Sweden and Finland, went to 12 in Australia and New Zealand, number 10 in Canada, 8 in Ireland, 6 in France and Norway, and it went to number 3 in the UK. It also became one of the best-selling singles for EWF, turning in global sales of well over 3 million units. Now, since its release, September has appeared in a long list of movies and TV shows. There's Soul Food, The Ringer, Night at the Museum, American Dad, Babel, Dan in Real Life,
5, 6, 7, switch!
Cold Case, Family Guy, The Untouchables,
You want the heat on, sir?
Yes, please.
The Mentalist, The Nice Guys, Trolls, Superstore, and Lethal Weapon, the series.
Break it down for me.
September was also featured on spy comedy Chuck in 2010. In the episode Buy More, manager Big Mike claims that he was once a member of the band back in the 80s when they were called Earth, Wind, Fire, and Rain. And that he was Rain. Kind of funny.
I was Rain.
Do you remember?
September has also been covered by a number of musicians, including Chicago, Brian McKnight, All for One, Johnny Hates Jazz, there's Eric Clapton, John Legend, the Jonas Brothers, Santana, Gloria Gaynor, 5 Seconds of Summer, Aretha Franklin, and Kylie Minogue. Also, Taylor Swift released a down-tempo banjo and acoustic guitar version in 2018. Now, for sentimental reasons, she changed the date to September 28th. I guess the song was part of a Spotify promotion, and the stripped-down arrangement that actually created a lot of backlash on social media. Where else, right? Alle Willis, she even had some choice words to say about it. However, Philip Bailey came to her defense, tweeting, "Music is free like that. Ain't got nothing but love for you."
28th night of September.
Also, there's no doubt that Justin Timberlake's Can't Stop the Feeling, that was very influenced by this song, and really EWF in general, from the Trolls movie.
Say, do you remember?
Between 1975 and 1979, Earth, Wind, and Fire was one of the biggest musical acts on the planet. They sold more than 30 million records, including several multi-platinum albums. They won 6 Grammys, all during this period. This was back when they didn't have that many categories in the Grammys, you got to remember. The EWF World Tours were among the hottest tickets in the business. And really, Maurice White's vision of establishing a revolutionary group with universal prominence, it was masterfully realized, perhaps with even greater impact than he'd originally imagined. And I'd argue that no song in EWF's stellar catalog has made a greater impact on the world than September. Gotta be, in my opinion, their best song. Verdine White, who talked about the song's lasting influences, said, "People now are getting married on September 21st. The stock market goes up on September 21st. Every kid I know now that's in their 20s, they always thank me because they were born on September 21st. This song has had an incredible effect on so many people, so much more than we realize. So you know what? We gotta put it where it belongs, up at number 1. Now, the week that September peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, the top 5 songs on the chart were at number 5, you had Fire by the Pointer Sisters.
Fire.
Number 4, A Little More Love by Olivia Newton-John. Number 3, La Freak by Chic. Number 2, YMCA by the Village People.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA.
And at number 1, Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart. Great selection from a great time in music history. But with Rod Stewart getting multiple weeks at number 1, I think, to show our respect for this incredible song, we just need to give one of those weeks to September. It just deserves it for sure. Like I said at the beginning of this, I think it should have been number 1 for 10 weeks. It's one of those songs. This song, it was a mainstay of my growing up years. I remember when I was in, I think it was in the 3rd grade. I had a really horrible day at school. This school bully had broken my glasses yet again. I had this one kid who was like 3 times bigger than me. And by hell, he would find a way to break my glasses like every week. On this day, I was humiliated by him in front of the girl that I had a crush on. I came home, my dad was just pulling in when I was walking home from the bus stop. He could tell that I was pretty miserable, so he asked, how's your day go? Are you okay? I always hid what was going on. I told him that I broke my own glasses. I didn't want to make it worse for myself with the bully. I actually stood up to this bully later on, but that's another story for another day. So I remember I got in the truck with him and he took me down to this little market by my house called B&J Market. This is the coolest place in the world. It had comic books and Mad Magazine, Rolling Stone, when it was cool. And it had this whole wall of candy, Garbage Pail Kids, baseball cards. And they had these cassette tapes under lock and key in this glass case. He had to unlock it to get them out. It just seemed like this treasure. So we always went there, we'd get a pop. He'd let me get some candy. On this day, he let me pick out a comic book and a tape, and a pop, and a candy. I was over the moon. I picked the best of Earth, Wind & Fire Volume 1 because my dad had their records and he listened to them. I loved them. And it was like $4.99 or something. When we got in the car, I was trying to open the tape, to play it. And lo and behold, the actual radio was playing September. So on the way home, we just jammed to this ditty. My horrible day, it was turned on its nose. It turned into one of my favorite memories of having a terrible day that just turned around because of a song. Come to think of it, it happened in the fall, because the leaves were turning and it was near the beginning of the school year. It had to be in September. At least that's how I think of it in my mind. Ba-de-ya. Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Earth, Wind & Fire, and this should have been a number 1 hit for sure, September. What are your memories of this song? What are your memories of Earth, Wind & Fire and these great times, the first time that you heard it? And what do you think about the rest of their catalog? What other songs by them should we cover? Let's have a great discussion below. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth.